What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of A Song of Life and Death, a Game of Thrones review podcast by the Life and Death podcast. Of course, I'm your co-host, in a sense, Alex. We have Fernie, and of course, we have David. Unfortunately, we lost Manuel in the battle at Winterfell during the long night. Yeah, we're going to do that. But Manuel won't be here with us during this episode, this review. But shout out to Manuel holding it down for us in the past episodes. We'll see you next week, man. Remember, guys, check us out on youtube.com/laughingdeath. Follow us on Instagram at Laughingdeath Podcast. Let us know what you think about these reviews. Let us know what you think about what you thought about this battle, because it was a very intense battle. It was really awesome to see. And yeah, we're going to get into some theories towards the end of this episode of what's going to happen next. Maybe talk about a little bit of the past episode or the prior episodes for season 8. Remember, this is the series finale of Game of Thrones, and it's going to be really sad once we stop talking about this, but I've been having a really great time, so we're going to get into it. For right now, what are your impressions over this battle at Winterfell?
I guess I can go first. I thought it was good. I was kind of emotionally fatigued watching Endgame this weekend twice and just reliving that. And so when I watched Game of Thrones, I was like, all right, whatever. And then I watched it again the second time and noticed a lot more things, and I was just like, yeah, it was huge. Like, I wonder how much coordination and how many hours it took to film all this, and it was just, I liked it. It was my second favorite battle. Battle of the Bastards is still my favorite, even though this one was way bigger and more chaotic.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought it was really good.
I loved it at first glance. I didn't blink for 82 minutes straight when I first watched the premiere. And then I saw it again that night, starting taking notes so I could take notes for the episode. And I was like, okay, ooh, that was rough. All right. And I continued to watch it. I'm like, that sucked too. All right. That didn't make any sense. Like, certain scenes in the episode didn't. It started to get worse and worse. And then I saw it again yesterday night, and I'm convinced that this was not. It was good, not great. If I had to score it, I mean, we're not a publication or anything, but I give it like an 8 out of 10. They had a lot of opportunities, but I do feel like it. I felt the suspense and I felt the dread, but then you're like 75 minutes in and nobody big has died, like none of our the top tier characters, and I was like, eh. And that was my same issue.
Death.
Yeah, I wanted more death. The same issue I had with Endgame. No spoilers for Endgame, but like I wanted more death. I needed more death. I needed more.
It was too classic of like, oh, we saved the day. Like,
exactly. There was way too much plot armor going on, and we're going to use that term a lot in this episode recap. But like, yeah, it just, everybody was safe. There was like really no ramifications or no. I wanted a bloodier outcome.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
No, yeah. I guess my take, it's in the same sense as yours. Like, but for me, it's like it was overhyped. Like, I think it was overhyped, and I was underwhelmed. But not in the sense of like, that sucks. I was just like, I didn't know what to expect when people were saying, oh, this is the longest recorded battle or whatever on film, and it's like a record or whatever, and like it's gonna be epic, and it was epic. I'm not gonna say it wasn't, because if we take into consideration like the scenes that we see of like sky shots or whatever of like, I mean, I know it's probably CGI'd or whatever, but even that, how much production time that takes, and like all the skill and the teams that they have to have behind all that stuff, like I take that into consideration. So I was just like, it was epic, but I thought it was going to be way more epic, maybe with like more deaths of important characters, and but we'll get into it with the people who actually eventually end up dying. But I give it like a strong 7 or 8 out of 10 as well.
Okay. Cool. So this episode is called The Long Night. It was directed by Miguel Sapochnik, like I said last episode. He filmed, he was the director for Mother's Mercy, Heart Home, and the Battle of the Bastards for Game of Thrones. So all the 3 big events that happened. And I mean, I think the episode was a little too long, and that may have hurt the episode for me, that it was way too long. I did want more, and you're saying, oh, it was too long, but you wanted more. Heart Home was so compact in that 20 minutes. It was nonstop, like
It
nail
was more
biting.
scene by scene, a lot of detail, scene by scene. And over this was kind of stretched. Yeah, I see what you mean.
And a lot of people died. A lot of characters that we just got introduced. None of the main characters, but like there was more. I felt like scared for John in that scene. And then the Battle of the Bastards too. Like I felt like I was with John in that pile and like suffocating, and like I don't know, it just made me feel more on those battles than in this one. But this was his most ambitious project overall. It took 11 weeks, which was 55 night shoots from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. Straight, 55 days straight, and he said he would never do it again. Which I don't get, because if you're gonna zoom into people's faces and just shake the camera a lot, then what's the point? Sorry, I don't want to take any credit from him, but it was a little weak. There was up to 750 people on scene at any given time. It took $15 million to produce this episode. It was the longest episode of Game of Thrones ever at 82 minutes, and the longest of the season and the series. It was the largest battle sequence in TV history, and probably longer than the Battle of Helm's Deep, which is the Lord of the Rings movie, and the third one, which is Return of the King. So yeah, some quick facts.
Yeah, that's intense.
The way they broke down this episode is it was in thirds, and you can pretty much tell, like while you're watching it, is like the first half or the first third was all suspense. Like 10 minutes pass and nothing's happened yet, and they're just looking off into the dark, which looked like a waves of gray on my TV because of the fucking HBO compression. Absolutely sucks. I watched it on 4K, and I watched it on another TV, which is my better TV, and it looked a little bit better there. But like just when them looking out into the darkness and you don't see anything, I don't know.
Yeah, they said that was intentional, just to build suspense, because it's like the monster you don't see. Like, you know that something's there, but you just don't see it. So it makes you think like, when is it gonna pop out? What's gonna happen? You know,
when is it gonna actually go down? And you really feel it as they start the episode. And the second third was like a scary movie. And this is the section where Arya gets inside. She's inside the library, and that whole scene with the hound and stuff. That was what their vision was for that part. So it was like the suspense, the horror movie, and then the last third is action. So it's an action movie where you actually see like people like dying and see people falling, and it's way too much stuff going on, kind of like a Michael Bay movie where it's like things are exploding, and it just, yeah, that's how they broke it up. But yeah, did you have anything to add before we go into the recap?
There's a lot of criticism to this episode. I know we're gonna probably get into it more, but and I agree with you guys that I wanted more in terms of death and stuff, but I felt like it was a solid episode. Like, the more I watched it, the more I liked it. I know you went the other way. Like, the more you watched it, the more you had problems with it, issues with it. So yeah, I might be a little bit on the not defensive, but a little bit more like chiming in to repeat some points, and that's just because I feel like there's certain ways they could have done it better. Like, I expected some more things that I wanted to see, and then missed some opportunities. But overall, I thought it was a better episode than people online give it credit for.
I mean, I did watch episode 2 right into episode 3, so I had that emotional connection again with the story. And then I watched episode 2, go into episode 3, and I'm like, okay, cool. And it ended, and then I just felt like, okay, episode 2, what was the point? They focused on all these characters, they gave them their moment. They had a lot of touching moments, and then nobody fucking dies. Like, they survived all the odds. And like in the Battle of the Bastards, like Miguel Sapochnik says, like, it's all luck. Like, you see John dodging horses and dodging arrows and shit. He said it's all luck. Like, he survived. Like, and that's how you're supposed to be impressed. Here it was just like, okay, quick cuts. Oh, we're still hacking and slashing. Let me grunt. Like, it was. I don't know. I was really upset with the episode. It was a solid piece of film, and it was eventful. It was definitely a spectacle, but I was a little underwhelmed. I was whelmed, I guess. Cool. So we start off the episode with Sam rubbing his hands. In this first 10 minutes of the episode, you really feel like a lot of tension building. we see a lot of motion as everyone's preparing for war. We see Theon wheeling Bran around to the weirwood tree. We see Tyrion grab a sword and a bag of wine. I'm like, typical Tyrion. I'm like, he's going to step up. Just watch. He's getting that liquid courage in him. We also see the dragons fly by overhead, and you hear the screeching, and I'm like, oh, okay, it's going to go down. We see the Dothraki line up. We see the Unsullied led by Grey Worm. And then we get a pan of the front lines where we see Brienne and Podrick and Jaime standing in front of the Eyrie army. And then we also see the wildlings on the other side where Tormund and Beric and the Hound and Gendry, Ed and Sam were lined up. And I'm like, holy shit. Like, everything looked really impressive at first glance. I was like, okay, my heart kept racing. I'm like, this is incredible. Like, it looks massive. And then we get that really good look from Jon and Daenerys as they were riding off. They land on the captain's post. Let's just call that little mountain cliff where they see everything over down below. And I don't know. I was like, okay, like I was getting chills, like just watching everything happen. And then we see a weird figure ride in, and it's Melisandre. She speaks with Jorah and tells him to tell the Dothraki to raise their swords. And I was like, okay, what's she gonna do? And she grabs it, and I'm like, oh, this is gonna be fucking awesome. And
it
so
was. And
she
it
says
was
a prayer.
fucking awesome. Yeah, she says some like Lord of Light prayer shit, or she's speaking in High Valyrian, isn't she?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right. And yeah, she does this freaking spell or whatever. Even though the Dothraki are confused and stuff, but then everything is just like a wave of, just like a building up across the entire army of
Amazing
the Dothraki,
effect, and
which is super cool.
The
Me and my
directors
girl were like, oh shit, like it's gonna go down, like this is badass, and everybody's smiling like fuck yeah. Everybody's also like, this is badass, like fuck yeah.
And they got me. The director said, he's like, we did that intentional so that you felt that they actually had stood a chance. And I'm like, this is they got me.
Because we expected Melisandre to come in this episode, or we kind of like theorized that she might come in,
Have some type of sway within the
yeah. And we thought maybe like since the Lord of Light versus the Lord of Light, or the Night King, which is ice and versus fire, and then like I know we were talking about it off air. Like how did we expect her to come back with like an army of other priestesses or whatever? And it was just her, which is fine. And then that happening, and I was like, holy shit, that's awesome. And then
so it's like okay, you have this wild ass army, the Dothraki. Now you have this wild ass fire Dothraki army. Yeah, I'm like fuck yeah.
Who are a bunch of badasses,
Yeah.
dude. Like they're awesome the way they rally, and
They're savages. Like they're fucking crazy. And Jorah's there next to them. He's right next to the Dothraki, isn't he? On horseback.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, he leads the charge. Which it's kind of sad because of the guy with the eyeliner who's been like the head of the Dothraki is being led by like a Westerner.
Yeah.
Oh well. So Melisandre rides by Grey Worm and tells him Bala Margulis, and I was like, hey, where's his love? Like,
Where's fire spears at least? Come on.
That'd be fucking dope.
Fire armor, some shit.
But shout out to Melisandre for lighting up this episode because it was pretty much
It was
pitch
lit.
black
It was lit.
the rest of the episode. And then Davos walks with conviction down to meet Melisandre. And remember, he said in the last time that they were together that he would execute her if he ever saw her again.
Yeah.
And Jon said the same fucking thing. So.
And they do meet up. They meet ways in the castle behind the walls, and she tells him,
there's no need to execute me.
I'll be dead before dawn.
Yeah.
And she's walking away, but then she looks at Arya.
Yeah, she kind of locks eyes with Arya, and they stare at each other for a while.
And even Arya's like kind of like, what? They're both kind of, there's a message between eyes that's happening there. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if y'all saw that there was like some type of relevance in that in the end of the episode. But
definitely, we're not going to get closure. We're not going to find out where the Melisandre was at. But she came in confident, and that's the first time she's always portrayed as confident, but when it came to the wars or anything like her calling a big shot, like that, no, she must have gone off and been like, something is right. And that's why I guess we got that moment between them. Yeah. So the Dothraki charge forward, led by Jorah, and the catapults launch, and my heart starts racing. I'm like, oh shit, they're going out there with their flaming swords.
And that was an epic shot too of the Dothraki galloping, those freaking cannonball like freaking on fire just overhead. That looked fucking awesome. I'm like, holy shit, this is going down.
We get a lot of perspective from it because we see Brienne's point of view where we see the launch, and then we see them riding away. We get Jorah's point of view from Ghost coming up, and you see the balls flying overhead. We zoom back out to Daenerys and Jon. They're looking overhead, and they're like holding their breath, like, okay.
And you see the Dothraki running across the field with their flaming swords, and it just, that looked awesome too.
Yeah, and then the fire starts to go out little by little, and you just see like the little.
See, I loved. I know you just said that like Melisandre should get an award for lighting this episode up. I loved this part in particular where it was the troops at Winterfell, and then a little bit like I want to say like 10 yards. It's just the moonlight, and then it's pitch black, where the whites are at, or zombies, whatever we're gonna call them. And then when the Dothraki are riding forward, like it's still pitch black. It's just the light of their swords, and then they're riding, and then you just see a big giant like come out of nowhere, and then the army of the dead just take him out one by one. And I love that they didn't have the battle like the Dothraki fighting the battle on camera, like fighting the zombies on camera. It was from a perspective of the troops back at Winterfell looking across the field and seeing the lights turn off
dwindle
one by one.
And shit.
Yeah, because it's just like, oh shit! Like you don't know how many they are or what's going on. You just know that you're losing.
Yeah, if that isn't enough to tell you, like, I'm sure they understand that Dothraki are a fucking savage group of people. If those fires are dwindling, that's like, fuck, we're fucked. It's like, what kind of message is that giving the rest of the people who are gonna fight? And I'm just like, shit, they're fucked.
And then after that, you see people coming out of the darkness, like running back.
Some horses coming alone
to Winterfell. Yeah, the Dothraki off their horses, which I mean that they hardly ever do that in battle. They always ride on horses or whatever. And Jorah just coming back and not even saying anything, just looking
and
like
he looks kind of like he's kind of leaning to one side, and his face just looks like overwhelmed.
Shit. Yeah.
He doesn't even look like he's trying to come into contact with the rest of the fleets or whatever, the armies.
Yeah,
and I know it's only a few seconds. I take it's supposed to be a few minutes in show terms or in real life terms or whatever, but they get destroyed, and that's where I was like, oh fuck, it's on. Like they're gonna struggle going forward.
A lot of people are complaining also, like, why even send the Dothraki by themselves? Like, you know that they have like thousands more dead than you do, so you just send like a couple hundred Dothraki to go do what, like kill them. So people are being like, oh, their battle plans were stupid. And it's like, yeah, but it's a war. Like, you don't know what to expect. Like, maybe they thought they can go in, see how many they are, and get out. Because they have the horses. Like, they're the cavalry. They're going to go in, maybe circle around. And
maybe, and that's the thing, too. The fact that they're fighting this army of dead, they've never fought this type of opponent. So they don't know how they work, right? Yeah. So it's just like, it's just giant confusion and like, let's see what works.
Yeah.
Well, the way they would work is that they would run into their opponent, like with their horses, break up their wall or whatever they were trying to build, but they must have gotten slaughtered by waves of the undead.
That's
they
what
were
I'm
thinking
saying.
they would be able to spread them out or anything like that and like fight them on.
That's why it's like that's that battle for everybody else except for maybe Jon, I guess, is like that's the first time they fight an opponent like that. Yeah. They don't know what the opponent is capable of. You know, they don't know how they fight.
And I like that you said waves, because we'll go see a scene like that right now in a bit.
As we see the fires go out, Daenerys can't stand to see her people fall, because remember, they're there for her, that they're fighting her war or Jon's war.
So she breaks
motivated. The plan, and she gets on Drogon and rides off and starts lighting those bitches up. And it is so cool to see she doesn't stick to plan, which fucking sucks, but I mean, seeing Drogon light people up is incredible to me. Then we see the army of the dead rush in and swarm everyone in waves.
It literally looked like a fucking tsunami of bones and flesh, and it just like it's fucking weird to see it. It was really weird because as I was watching it I was watching it with my girl, and like I'm looking at it and my face is just kind of like, what the fuck do you do? I'm like, what the fuck happens now? There's no, like, they don't know what the fuck to do. You know what I mean?
It doesn't matter how good you are at fighting one-on-one or 4-on-1. When you're getting manhandled like that, that is crazy. I started thinking, like, how the hell are they going to do it? Like, I thought maybe smaller weapons would be better. Or I'm trying to, like, all the tactics in my head are trying to play out, and I couldn't see any way of winning. It's crazy. So Daenerys and Jon light up the dead with their dragons. They fly off and they see the general sitting in the back on their horses. And then a huge storm comes in and fucks everything up. And I was like, wait, what the fuck? Like, where the hell did this shit come from? And I was like, well, they do bring the cold with them, but like, it was too.
I mean, maybe they can control it and like they can just.
Well, before Daenerys gets on her dragon horse. Before she gets on her dragon and flies off to go help her people, Jon mentions like the Night King is coming. So he wasn't. We mentioned last episode we didn't see him there with the other generals like when the episode closed, and Jon was saying like the Night King is coming. She's like the dead are already here. So that's when she goes to help her people, and Jon goes along with her. And then when they're flying off, Jon notices the generals sitting there on their horses, and he's like, "All right, yeah, let me go swoop down and burn them," and they kind of just don't even react. They just kind of look at him, and I was like, "Is he really gonna kill him like that easily?" And that's when the storm comes in, because I think that's when the Night King himself was bringing the winter.
He was probably above
the winter and the like his magical power of bringing winter with him and all the snow and all the dust, and it kind of almost blew him off his dragon. And I think that was the Night King arriving, because after that's when they had the fight with the Night King on the
Dude,
dragon.
I can imagine that shit because I've ridden. My girl's mom used to have a little moped, and I've ridden like just on the moped, which only goes 35 miles per hour without glasses. Fucking sucks. Watery eyes. I can't imagine 75, 80 miles per hour. I don't know how fast a dragon fucking flies, but in snow and dust and dirt and shit in the cold, fucking. I mean, that's where blue steel probably helped him, right?
Oh yeah, his eyes are like that,
Eyes
all puffy.
closed.
That shit must suck, dude. So yeah, I could totally see that affecting. And then the dragon's out of its element, right? Those dragons are fire, warm, kind of, I guess, type of animal.
They don't like the north.
Yeah, it's cold.
It's just
And then he brings the cold, so I can see that shit.
And I know you were complaining about like visibility when the store came in, and I like that they used those element of like, yeah, he's the Night King. He's gonna bring the winter with him. Like he's gonna be in his element, like fighting. So it makes sense like when everything just goes to shit and it's this chaos of like there's snow falling down, there's gusts of wind, and there's mud, and there's people fighting next to you, and there's dead everywhere. You don't know who's who, and you're just like, what the fuck is going on?
They just Superman 64 the shit out of the camera, where it was too foggy, it was too framey, like the wind, like I think it was messy for messy's sake. They were trying to cover up a lot of special effects, stuff like that. I get it, but they ruined it, man. Like the fog, like the field of view was like only a foot in front of you, or like even on TV, I'm like squinting trying to watch it, and then all these memes start coming up because of the episode. And
I think that's overplayed. Like I think it was good enough to add the chaos and like the suspense of it. Like I don't think it was too bad. And if it was only for like what 5 minutes of the show, where
no,
they do
the rest of the episode.
Well, they were because they were fighting. They were fighting there, and then they were doing the retreat, and then that's when Melisandre lights the trenches. Like it wasn't like it was a whole episode. And then when they're inside Winterfell itself, like it's still kind of, but
it's like warm.
There's fire.
Warm
Yeah,
colors.
there's warm colors, and in the Game of Thrones reveal, like the 40-minute show or clip that they put on. We need to pause. Oh, on that 40-minute clip that they showed on YouTube, the lighting guy was talking about how they were doing warm colors inside Winterfell because like you needed to see more, and then how they did the moon and just the fire itself, like how they added more color with that.
Yeah, I think in the moments where it's in the moments where they're in the sky with the dragons is the moments where it's kind of like there's confusion. You can't really see that much. That those are the most of the moments where it's like. I think I agree with Fernie. Like it's right. It's right for what the episode is trying to portray. That this army of the dead, this army you've never understood how they fight. It's a bunch of confusion. It's supposed to be chaos and shit.
Yeah, and I'm not saying like your criticism is invalid, like or anybody else's criticism that thought it was muddy or ugly, because it does look muddy and ugly. Like I agree with that.
Yeah, and I was fucking squinting. Like,
yeah,
what the fuck is going on?
But I was okay with it, and I hate when people overplay on like one little gripe. Like they just pick something and they stick with it, and then that's like, oh, this whole episode is ruined because I couldn't see shit. Like, well, I mean, thematically, yeah, That would make sense because you're there on the north. It's snowing. Night King brings fucking thing. It's a long night. It's at night. You want them to do the battle in the evening, or like in noon. It's not the long noon. It's the long night.
The long brunch.
Yeah. Let's get mimosas first, and then let's go fight.
Let's get ales.
I mean, I saw it on my iPad, and it didn't look as bad either. Like when I was watching it the third time, and it looked better. But like watching it on my 65-inch 4K TV, like it looked like garbage. Like it was too pixelated. Like even when the storm comes in and Danny and John are in the air and in the clouds, it just looks like rainbow. And I'm like, it's supposed to be gray. It's clouds. And like the way it was pixelated and stuff. I don't know how you saw it. I don't know if you saw it on your phone or your laptop.
I saw it on my projector, and my projector, like it's an okay one. It's like 1080p, but like everything with the colors, and I don't have a screen, so it's just like
on your wall,
kind of like an off-white wall. So and it looked fine for me. Like that's why I was like, I don't know where the criticism's coming from. Maybe because it was bigger and like the colors were a little bit more. They weren't as mine were a little bit more muted, so they weren't as sharp where you could see all the pixelation for you or for everybody else. Like maybe that's why. But
I think there was a good contrast of like fog and snow, and then the fire. You know what I mean? That from like Melisandre and all the shit she does and stuff. I think it was good contrast on both ends.
Yeah, but I mean, and to put anything like put this behind us, like next episodes, it looks like it's gonna be sunny as fuck because they're gonna go to King's Landing.
Might be too bright.
Yeah.
All right, Arya tells Sansa to go to the crypts, and you can definitely see concern on her face. And Arya hands Sansa a dragon glass dagger. Sansa says to Arya, "What do I do with this?" And Arya tells her, "Stick him with the pointy end," which is a really cool callback to Jon telling Arya to stick him with the pointy end when he gave her needle in season 1, episode 2. And there's also an episode called The Pointy End, which is in season 1, episode 8, which is kind of cool. Little callbacks. We had a lot of quick cuts from all of our heroes. I was holding my breath the entire time. I thought one of them could have died at any moment because, like Sam, you see him like fighting him off, and then he gets overwhelmed and he gets knocked down. And then Ed comes over and saves him. He picks him up and says, "Get up!" And then we lose our first casualty of the entire show. And Ed gets a sword through the chest. Couldn't tell where it came from.
I almost thought it was through his back of his head.
I thought it was just to the back, like chest there, like height.
Because I saw blood come out here, and I thought it was like a blade that went through his mouth, and then they pulled it out before they could show it. Because I saw blood, but maybe he just coughed it up. This is where one of the moments where I'm like, I couldn't really see what happened. Yeah,
so he saves him, but Sam's out of it, and things start to slow down and get mono, and then you look over and you see Jamie and Brienne fighting. I'm like, oh no, here it comes, here it comes, and then we quick cut to Sam running away. Classic Sam. God damn it. So Sansa goes over to the crypts, and I thought she was going to do a little bit more with this because, like in season 3, season 2, when the Battle of the Blackwater, when she's in the tower with Cersei and the rest of the women, she tries to keep everybody calm because everybody's panicking, and she starts to sing a song and like gets everybody to start like knitting praying and knitting and stuff like that. And I thought she was going to go down there and like fucking take charge and like do that, but she doesn't even do it. She doesn't speak to anyone. But yeah, I don't know.
But she wants to be Lady of Winterfell.
No, later on she tells. I mean, we'll talk about it more when we get there. But she tells Theon, not Theon, Tyrion, like there's nothing we can do. So I felt, and like if they're fighting the dead, they're not just fighting some other people that are to be like, all right, well, we might keep you alive because we're decent human beings or something. Like even though we just conquered the land, like they still can like reason with them or talk to them. And
there's no reasoning here.
There's no reasoning here. Like there's nothing you can do. And she tells Tyrion that later. Like
maybe she's just thinking, oh, we're either live or die.
Yeah.
There's no like, what if?
And you're right. Like the people that see her when she goes in there, they kind of know like the only reason she's in here is because something's going wrong, and they kind of look at her like, hey, what are you gonna do? Like,
yeah, but that was her chance,
right?
Yeah. Those are her people.
Some input from her.
They were just waiting for some input or something from her. Yeah, they did have that face, but yeah, we'll get into that Tyrion part later.
Okay, so while in the snowstorm, Jon and Daenerys, which I completely believe, they fly into each other. Mm-hmm. Insane. I was like, what the fuck? I thought they were like, I thought it was a Night King.
Yeah,
I
me
just
too.
shook my head. I was like, what? And then it's them, and I'm like, fucking idiots. Tormund and the others plan their retreat, and the Unsullied protect everyone as they flee. I thought that this was really cool. That the Unsullied like totally like
went for it. They stood their fucking ground.
They held
dude.
the line. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jon and Rhaegal dip below the storm, and they land over by the Weirwood tree to go check in on Bran. The dead are starting to break through the intersection, and Arya saves the Hound by shooting an arrow at him, at one of the Whites that was chasing after him. Grey Worm calls for the trenches to be lit, and Daenerys can't see them because she's still out in the storm.
This is where one of these moments of where the fog and type of shit like that, because she's up above the clouds and she can see fire, like kind of you can see this warm color underneath, the glow underneath the clouds, but she can't tell.
Well, she can't see it yet.
Well, yeah, but there's like a scene where I don't know if it's Jon or her. They're flying, and I guess the signal where Sir Davos is supposed to be going like this for them to light the trenches. He's like, they can't see us, and she's like, and they are looking down. They're trying to maybe look for the signal. This like ignites a confusion in the viewer of like, fuck, dude, they really can't see anything. It's just more chaos and confusion.
And that was a tension of like Davos be like, oh, they can't hear us, and yelling to the archers like, light the trench, and then you see them shooting the fire arrows at the trench, and
they're going out.
And they're going out because of the wind and the cold, and it's just like, damn, like
it's really that strong, you know? Fuck. And they're not far away from the trenches. I mean,
no. And you see, I think a little bit before this, when you said that Grey Worm asked to like light the trench on fire, like he's covering the retreat, the Unsullied covering the retreat, and then he goes over the bridge and he just looks like he makes a moment decision and like pulls the bridge and collapses it. So his troops, his Unsullied troops, are still on the other
Those
side.
Are
of
his
the
brothers, like
that's like, and you could tell he had issue with like doing that. Taking, he's just like, fuck, it has to be done to protect everybody.
I thought he was being a coward. Like at first, on first watch, I was like, oh, fucking, he just like left him to die. And then I felt like he was scared, but he wasn't a coward.
Oh yeah, no, he was definitely scared.
He was definitely
and felt for them too, because that is his fucking army and who he is.
Yeah, and he's just like, I have to sacrifice them for the greater good. I felt that in like the second watching of it, like just feeling like, oh, it's like just all that emotion in his face, and like he wouldn't do that if he didn't have a good reason to.
Yeah, definitely.
And like how we mentioned last season or last episode, when he's like, I was never afraid of anything in battle. I'm afraid of losing Missandei. I felt like this time in battle he was scared.
Yeah, you can visually see it on his face.
But yeah, I thought it was a good moment to just
definitely
to show the chaos and like the confusion that the storm brought.
Mm-hmm.
So Melisandre lights the trenches using her magic or prayer and holds off the horde, but not for long.
I also want to touch on this of her lighting the trenches, because this is also another big thing where as she's trying to light this trench, you can kind of see that maybe there's a dwindle of like hesitation of her faith of like, this isn't going to work. Like she's holding on to that piece of log and she's saying her prayer or whatever. And she's kind of seeing people fighting and going down and dying next to her. And she's like, fuck, you can kind of start seeing from when she first does it, she's confident as shit. And then you kind of see her blinking and like her eyebrows raised and she starts kind of, oh shit, like this might not work. And it's just in fucking time. The zombie's about to fucking come to her face and whew, everything just fucking explodes. I think that was
another awesome
scene.
effect. Yeah.
Yeah.
I hated this. I thought the scene lasted too long. I didn't like it because they were already adding the tension of the zombies coming towards her and just the thing not going off and like just her urgency in her voice, like getting a little bit faster with the prayer, like whatever it was, and just getting faster until it finally lights up. And I was just like, don't mess with my heart that way.
I think it was good because like, yeah, it's like it's fucking messing with you, and it's like first we thought the swords were a nice beacon of hope. It's like, oh, and then they fucking got killed. And now this is another beacon of hope. Oh, fucking. And then as we progress, we'll see what happens after they light these trenches. But fuck.
And to talk about the technical side of the trenches first, I saw that was mentioned. I saw that thing on YouTube. And they did actual wood for the things there. But then they also had pipes to look like wood, so they can burn it for a while and I have the branches or like not the branches the logs like burn away.
Oh, okay.
So it kind of looks like wood, and then it can last a lot longer for them to film. So
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like a mix of steel beams and wood logs.
Shit, man.
Yeah, and
It looked freaking intense. It looked awesome.
They used like 9 tons of gas.
yeah, it was like a
Jesus.
liquid gas thing where the liquid lights in the bottom, and then it kind of just and you see it too when it's lighting up. When it lights up, it goes in a wave also. Like,
Yeah.
So it's just catching fire as it goes. So-
It starts from where she's at, right? And it kind of
Yeah.
both ends. Yeah, that was fucking awesome.
The hound starts to freak out because of the fire,
Yeah.
and he has like a really bad like PTSD moment where
Yeah.
he's just like fuck this and runs off. And then we cut to Tyrion staring at the staircase inside the crypt, and he feels like he could make a difference. And he's like, if I was out there, I could actually do something. There might be missing something that they don't see, and I could help. And Sansa tells Tyrion that they're useless, and she's like, just face it, we're useless. Like there's no point. Also, I'm sorry. They also speak about their relationship and how it wouldn't work.
Loyalties. Yeah.
He was with her. He was her best husband, though. I thought that was really funny because, like, first husband was Joffrey, second husband was Ramsay, and then
Or second husband was
Tyrion.
Tyrion, and then
Oh,
third
yes,
husband,
yes.
was Ramsay. Yeah, they talk
So-
about that, and what's in this exchange? They talk about him with Daenerys, correct? And Missandei's also in the crypts. What is it? I forget what she says. Sansa says, "Oh, it wouldn't work because of your loyalties to
the Dragon Queen.
the Dragon Queen."
Yeah.
and Missandei butts in, and she's right. She's like, "Yeah, if it wasn't for Daenerys being here, we'd all be dead right now."
Yeah, she's a little bitch. Like, come on.
That was dope. I liked it. It was a good, but because Sansa's whole time still in the crypts, they're being attacked. They can hear the screams, and she's still like, "I'm fucking Lady of Winterfell. I'm the fucking queen of my area of the North." You know, like, bitch, get the fuck off your high horse. That's what I thought.
If somebody's gonna insult me in my house, bitch, I'm gonna have something to say.
Right now, the house is the house of the fucking dead at this moment because everybody's fucking dying. So I like that what Missandei said. I really did enjoy it.
Yeah, and then you talked about Tyrion taking the wine down there, and you said like, "Oh, he's probably gonna get some liquid. Like, he probably get some liquid courage." He did get some liquid courage because he was just drinking. And he's like, "Man, if I was out there, I would have done all this shit." Like you always see those people on Facebook where they hear like, "Oh, this happened to so and so." It's like, man, if I was there, I would have taken care of it. And that's what Tyrion was doing. He was just like, like maybe. And Sansa tells him like, "No, like we're here because we're useless. Like that, like." We're doing the bravest thing, like getting out of the way. Like we're being brave by facing the truth
In the face, yeah.
that we can't do anything. And that's what I was saying. Like when she was in King's Landing, like she still had that thing in the back of her head that she can reason with them, or she thought like her faith was gonna save her, like and now she knows that nothing she does is gonna make anything better. And yeah, Missandei was just like.
You didn't like that exchange?
I liked it because it kind of put the perspective of, yeah, they're working together, but there's still tension there.
Yeah, yeah. I think the Missandei exchange, what Missandei said to her, gave more of a perspective of like, bitch, we're here helping.
Yeah, because
And Sansa's side is just like, fuck that. Like you're with fucking this dragon chick. Like,
yeah, because she says,
so she's still salty.
she's like, without the Dragon Queen, there wouldn't be no problems because we'd be dead.
Yeah. I like that exchange. It was fucking awesome.
We cut to Theon apologizing to Bran, and Bran says, everything you did before brought you here now, and where you belong, home. And then Bran pieces out. Says like, "I'll be. Like, I'm going to go now." And then he wargs into the ravens, and I'm like, "What the fuck is he doing?" It's pretty cool scene with the ravens taking off, and they find the Night King in the.
Which was a cool fucking shot too of the Night King like on the dragon. It looked fucking menacing. Like
I had a brief moment when I thought that Bran was warging into the Night King, and I was like, what? Because yeah, you see the ravens going up to the Night King, and then the Night King's eyes are white, like they're not blue in that scene, and he has his hand like pointed out to the people or to the zombies, and they slowly start walking into the fire like one by one, and I was like, oh shit, Bran's like warging into the Night King, and the Night King is warging into them to
kill them.
to kill them. But then we see that
I can see that.
they're slowly going into the fire to form like
a bridge
of bodies.
Oh my god!
And I was like, okay, well, it wasn't the Night King then. So the Night King was working into just them by themselves.
As soon as that first zombie goes in and just kind of like, right? My girl was like, fucking dumbass. I'm like, oh no. And I was like, no, what? Look what they're doing. And she's like, what? And they're just piling on top of each other. And she's like, holy shit. She's like, oh fuck, this fucked me up. Just making a bridge of zombie.
Yeah, because I mean, they're not alive, so they don't care whether they live or not. They're just there to kill and to sacrifice their body to get more killing done. They'll do it in a heartbeat. Or
there's 100,000 of them. They can sacrifice a few.
Or like thereof. Heartbeat.
God damn it. But do you all think he went anywhere else other than warging into the ravens?
Because after that, that's the only moment we see those ravens, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he was warging the entire time until we go back to the Redwood.
I don't think so. At first, I thought maybe he was warging into the ravens and like sending word to other like houses down south, like, hey, we defeated the Night King, because I felt like he would know. Or
this is still before though. Oh, because he would know in the instances to come. Okay.
Yeah. And I felt like, oh, maybe spoilers, they defeated the Night King. Also, or maybe it was like sending more ravens, like, hey, if we fall here, be ready, type of thing. But I don't think it's that. Like, I mean, just because it was the ravens, and then
I don't know. I didn't know what to expect either. Like the whole time he's just fucking.
Yeah, I think he was just like keeping an eye on everything, like, because if he knew what was gonna happen,
then there was no reason to, right, act like drastic.
Yeah,
if he knew the outcome.
Yeah, he had to make sure things were going in the way that he saw them. Yeah. Like if something were different, then he might have a cause for concern.
True.
Okay, so we do get a quick cut of Daenerys burning up more of the undead. And I thought her tactics were pretty stupid. She was burning the rear of the horde when she should have been burning the front she should have been doing like waves in front of the trench and just like wiping them out that way.
True, because there was nobody there anymore, right?
Yeah, no. There was everybody. She was getting all the ones in the back. Like, what the fuck are you doing? We do see Jon, while he's perched there by the weirwood tree, he looks up and he sees the Night King kind of like just hovering over. And I was like, oh, that's a fucking good scene. Like, just watching him, and he like gets on Rhaegal, and so like, he goes after him, and I was like, I lost my shit at that point. I was like, fuck him up, Jon, go get it, Jon. I was like super ecstatic that we were gonna get like an aerial fight or something like that, but we didn't, not yet, at least. So the horde starts to climb the wall, and Brienne says Jaime, he starts to get overwhelmed as they start like to trickle over, and there's another instance where we have a hero in danger, and then he's not, and we get a lot of those scenes.
Where they're being overwhelmed, and then somebody comes, like they see them and it comes and rescues them, and then
friend, like, oh, it's okay, you're good, we're good. Just a lot of that.
And when Jon goes to fly after the Night King, doesn't he like the Night King lose them in the clouds?
Yeah, he loses the Night King, and then where that's still to come.
It's because he was down here at Comic-Con, dude. Came over here real quick. Shout out.
So we also get a quick cut of the Hound suffering from PTSD, and we also have a quick cut of Arya kicking ass with the staff that Gendry made for her. And dude, I was so fucking ecstatic watching that shit happen.
Yeah.
She was fucking kicking ass, and
and the way she was maneuvering her with the zombies as well. You know, like there was a moment where she rolls over their backs, doesn't she? Like down the stairs, like. Dude, she's just so fucking cool.
She's about to go down the staircase, and she breaks it in half, and she's still fucking killing him. And then she does her little barrel roll and lands on the bottom.
And she does that thing that you were talking about, like you wanted to see, where she's in that like wall, and it's long, so she's using the staff by its like long ways and using both sides, and then like she drives the staff through two zombies. And then once she gets into the smaller quarter of the stairwell, that's when she breaks it apart and starts fighting like that. And I was like, oh shit, David was right. Like, she's gonna use that close quarter combat, and she does it.
So fucking cool.
And Maisie Williams, she does that stunt of like going over the zombies like herself, and I was like, oh shit, like she's really good. And the stunt coordinator was praising her because she does. Not most of her stunts, but like just the things that she can do, she would try them. Like she doesn't let
like all the combat stuff. Like she would.
That's dope, dude. Adds even more to the character. Like that's so cool.
Also, she's a right-handed fighter, but Arya in the books is a left-handed fighter. So she learned all of the combat left-handed. So by the end of the series, she's ambidextrous when it comes to wielding weapons, and it's really fucking cool.
Yeah, 'cause she started in season 1 when she's practicing with Zero for All. Like even back then, she was like, "All right, if I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it right."
Dude, yeah, hell yeah,
We get a quick cut to Davos, and he seems really impressed with Arya. He's like, with his little fingers,
his nubs,
his nubbins. We get a big banging at the front gate of the castle, and a giant breaks down the front door and slaps Lady Mormont.
Oh god,
to the ground.
dude.
And then we have this really cool scene where this giant is like clubbing people left and right, and Lady Mormont gets up, and people are making memes of it, like it being funny, but I thought it was fucking visceral.
Yeah,
the way she starts yelling.
Yeah,
she runs at him.
I like how you were talking about off air when we were like hanging out and stuff. You were talking about like the parallels of like, oh, this battle was depicted kind of closely to this battle or whatever, and I kind of thought of like, is it David and Goliath? How like this small man versus this beast of a fucking human, like this contrast, you know, that's what I kind of thought of, because she's this little furious freaking girl, and then this massive fucking dead giant at that, like they go head to head. So I kind of thought about that. That shit was cool.
Yeah, the giant picks her up, brings him to eye level. You hear her plate armor and her body just crush, and she's struggling, and he brings her really close to his face, and she grabs the dragon glass dagger and stabs him in the eye. Fucking brutal and incredible, and so fitting for this character.
Oh yeah,
I'm so glad she went out like that.
Yeah,
that's so fucking awesome.
I even hearing her prepare, like, go to that gate, like her screaming, I was like, this bitch got some lungs on her. I was like, hell yeah, she's fucking dope, dude. She was just, man, rest in peace, Lady Mormont.
And there was a lot of criticism of her being like just a fan, like a ploy from the writers to get fans in, like to like the
buy
episode.
into the thing.
Yeah, it was just like, oh, they're just using her as a like lazy writing, because just put her in there and people are gonna love it, you know. And I liked she said the actress that plays her said like I was like, I didn't want to do the show anymore, like just kind of like, but I'm glad they gave her this ending, because that's the way she would want to go out.
And that's like I'm comfortable with how she went out. That's like the perfect way. Like, why not?
Y'all should check out the. I know you saw it, but you should check out the making of that scene with Lady Mormont. They used a lot of different camera tricks to replicate that, and they actually had an actual actor do like a little bit of the part, and then the rest was all CG, and you can barely tell. Shit. Awesome, crazy computer work camera work that they used. So we do have a quick cut to Jon and Daenerys flying in the clouds, and they're going after the Night King, and he just like raises up, and they go up, and they're above the clouds, and it was like so peaceful. It's kind of like the eye of a hurricane, where it's just like everything's so peaceful. You see the clouds like rumbling and like having like,
and below it's death, chaos, and
exactly. And it was so cool. And then the freaking Night King comes from underneath and starts blowing
the
blue flames over at Drogon, and quick 1-2 scene, and then we cut back to Arya sneaking around the halls of Winterfell. But prior to that, we do see Davos trying to, not Davos, but we get Beric trying to snap the Hound out of it. And he's like, we're all fucked. It's all over. Like, we shouldn't. He's like, well, you need to keep fighting. And it's like, he's like, it's over. And he's like, you need to keep fighting like her. And you see her like roll off the edge of
like the little, I guess like a hut or something that's kept in there. But before this happens, what he says to Beric, he's like, shut the fuck up, you whore. He calls him a whore. Yeah. I'm like,
I missed that.
It's like it reminds me of like It's Always Sunny, like where like D will call a guy, you fucking son of a bitch, like you bitch. He'll call a man a bitch, or like he's calling a man a whore. Like he's just, you could tell he's overwhelmed, you know, like he's just kind of blabbering about. It's fucking awesome.
And it's the second time he's like something like this has happened to him. Like at the Battle of the Blackwater, he froze up also. Like he just like fuck the king, fuck this, I'm just leaving.
Yeah.
So it's kind of changing my perspective on the Hound itself as a character. Like he has no problem picking on people that can't defend themselves against him, but once he gets some resistance, like he just
when he knows he's either matched or can be beat, he's like, yeah, he finds this little corner of himself
and just hides there.
Yeah.
So yeah, we have a quick scene or not a quick scene, but we end the first half or the first third of the episode, and we move into the inners of Winterfell, where Arya's sneaking around the halls, and she ends up in the library. Super fun scene. I thought it was very like scary movie or Resident Evil to me because of you're trying to sneak around and trying not to get seen. But they do play a large, like they want you to realize like how silent she is, because yeah, she's banging on things and she's like moving around as quietly as possible, but like even the drops of her blood are louder than her, the way she's like maneuvering throughout the entire scene. And I thought that was really freaking cool, because you realize like, what are you doing out there? Like you're a badass person, but you're a better assassin.
Yeah.
And that's where I saw the contrast, where it was like, okay, she's a great warrior, but that's not who she is. She's little and she's also an assassin, and that's what she needs.
Kudos to Jagan Hagar, because I mean, you go back to the episode where she's with Tywin in I don't know where they're at.
Harrenhal?
Yeah. And she's like, well, he just said to walk out, and you see all the soldiers. They look like they're standing there, but they're actually spiked up against the wall. Like Jagan Hagar did all that stuff
Without making a noise.
Yeah, without making a noise. So it's like, okay, what did she learn from him? You know?
Yeah, and I don't think it's either or. Like she's either a warrior or an assassin. I think she's great at both. But her skill, rely more on assassinations and being stealthy. And yeah, it felt like a video game level where you're trying to hide from like that perimeter guards that are just like walking a certain path, and she's like going one way and see somebody goes the other way, and then and I think this scene added a lot to what we're gonna see later, like the big moment, and that a lot of people had problems with. But yeah, I feel like this scene was an establishing scene of like, hey, she's quiet, she's an assassin, don't disregard that.
Because you see her do like a quick like slide underneath the table, and you don't hear a single thing.
No.
And she's under there and she's breathing, and the drops of the blood coming off her eyebrow are like louder than I guess a sword dragging on the floor, because there's a bunch of walkers in there. I don't know. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, they don't notice her until that moment.
Yeah. Or do they? So yeah, we have Beric and the Hound roaming the halls looking for Arya, trying to save her. And then a door breaks down, and it's Arya being attacked by a White Walker, and Beric flings his fucking flame sword over.
That's right, dude.
And impales that walk. I was like, that is so freaking cool. And you can tell she's entirely out of it. Like, she's been knocked around a little bit. But yeah, they pick her up and they start running around the halls. Beric helps them escape. A lot of chaos ensues in close quarters as they're running, trying to escape. And Beric does get stabbed quite a bit in this little scene.
In that scene where he's like holding off, I guess, the horde as the Hound and Arya leave, he was getting stabbed so much. And then when I see him escape through the door with them, I'm like, holy shit, how did he make it out of being stabbed by these fucking zombies and maybe getting bit? Like,
yeah, and he posts up, like he holds the
that's
wall,
what I'm
and
saying.
he's just taking all the stabs so they can get away. And then like there's so many of them that it just like pushes him through, and he like takes off running again and makes it through the door. But why? They run into Melisandre as we have Beric breathe his last breath, and Melisandre tells him he served his purpose. And I was like, wait, what the hell's going on? Like, I did not expect to see Melisandre in that room or anywhere there. And Arya looks at her and says, like, I remember you. And she's like, I know you too. She said, you said we'd meet again. And you said I would shut many eyes forever. And you were right about that too. She's like, yes, brown eyes, green eyes, and blue eyes.
And even blue eyes.
And then they hang on to that scene. So you're like, oh, okay, what's up?
Well, yeah, she tells her that, and Arya just looks at her like, not confused, but like just like, what are you talking about? And then Melisandre gives her another look, kind of like, you know what I'm talking about. And then she runs off, and then Arya runs off. I think it's the same scene, right?
Yeah,
it is.
She as the zombies or the walkers are trying to break in through the door, Melisandre says to her, "What do we say to the god of death?" And Arya says, "Not today." And I was like, "Fuck yeah!" And then the Halo theme starts playing.
As far as this scene goes, like the missed moments, I think they could have done. I felt like I said last episode, like my theory was like the Hound was gonna revive Barrick and just kind of like use Melisandre there, or she would revive him, and just something like that. Like they could have done that.
Something more Lord of Light-ish.
Yeah.
Like where, because like Barrick too, because we also, if we're going back to like the Hound kind of losing his shit, and Sir Barrick's like, what about her? Like, why is Sir Barrick like? He doesn't even understand why he's like, what about Arya? And I'm like, oh, I get it. She's a lady of Winterfell. Like, of course they're gonna protect her. This is her home. But I guess his purpose all along was that, of course.
Yeah, I mean, they could have done that. Like, I think a lot of people would have been like, oh, fuck this show because of that, or just thought it was a little bit too much. And I think they ended his storyline pretty well. So I'm not complaining about that. But I feel like just a little extra oomph for me would have been like...
He didn't even say anything when he died, huh?
No.
He was just...
The little extra oomph would have been like Melisandre bringing me back, or even the Hound being like, get up your shit, or just something, and then him coming back to life, and he'd be like, oh fuck, like that would have been nice for me, like just complaining about him being back alive.
And then right now that I'm thinking about it now, because I only saw it once, and now that I think about it, like maybe him just like dying off, it was just like, oh, he's just a pawn in this Lord of Light's game. He's just, well, there, I brought you back enough times for this fucking point right here, and that's it. You don't got to say shit no more.
Melisandre did say that, like that was his purpose.
Yeah.
So we get a quick cut to Theon and his men holding off the dead, surrounding Bran, and then we get, like you said, that they're the Ironborn are natural archers. So really cool scene to have them like protect Bran with by using their bow and arrows. That's really, really cool.
And you also got to think about like just how close quarters they were with the bows and arrows. Like they still had like a distance to cover, the zombies did, but they were just fast in killing somebody, get a new arrow, barely making it past their lines where they had to use swords or anything.
Yeah. I also want to look at the layout of like where that tree is at, and then how many entrances there are, I guess, because there's like some walls surrounding it, but there's also entrances, right?
Just one, I think.
Just one entrance?
Yeah, but they were like coming in and going around the perimeter because around the tree it was still like foggy and snowy, so they didn't have really good visibility on it, and they show that when they're like they hear them but they can't see them.
Mm-hmm.
Finally, we flash over to the Night King, Jon and Daenerys fighting over Winterfell on their dragons, and that was one of the highlights of the entire episode. Was them like clawing at each other,
the
and
bites
it's
and
pretty
shit.
much Viserion and Rhaegal like going at it first, and you do see Rhaegal take a lot of damage with the claws and getting bit, but Rhaegal was able to grab his face and rip off his jaw, and like it's cool to see the fire like leak out the side of his mouth and the side of his
Even in
neck.
the later episodes, he's still breathing. You see the fire out here, right?
Yeah, it was so freaking cool to see. And then when you think the Night King is gonna spear Jon because he's on his fucking back,
You know, the last time he held the fucking spear, he's like fucking Olympian throwing this fucking spear,
gold medalist,
yeah, motherfucker. Like, so he's holding it, and I'm just like, oh fuck, no.
And Drogon dives in and grabs Rhaegal by the neck and fucking knocks off the Night King. And I was like, that's so cool. And you just see his little face as he's falling through the clouds, like expressionless.
Yeah, there's another moment also where I was just like, they can't kill him this easily. Come on, like I thought maybe he was gonna fall and die, and I was like, I would have been pissed, but I was like, no, they can't kill him. They're like, he's not gonna die. Like he's falling from the sky. He's not gonna die. I know he's not gonna die.
I love the visual of like the spear going down with him at the same time. That was really cool. So Daenerys dives down and sees the Night King walking on the just across all the dead bodies and stuff, and she floats above him and just says Dracarys, and I was like, fuck yeah! I thought it was over, dude. I seriously thought it was over.
Fucking flames, spit hot fire.
Yeah.
Call that dragon Dylon, bro.
And and then as soon as they cut over to Jon like running towards the fire, I was like, wait, no, they didn't get him. And then sure enough, the flames just like disappear,
And he has that
and
fucking
he's got a
sinister smile on
smile,
his face.
yeah. And he turns around and he grabs his spear, and when he's about to chuck it at Dany, she rides off with Drogon. But like if I was Dany, I would have like turned back around and just gone and fucking pounced on him or something, because like he had one fucking spear and he missed. Like,
Yeah, true.
I don't know if he could make another one out of the elements or whatever. You never know because he's that fucking Night King. But yeah, I thought she should have gone back. But yeah, obviously Dragonfire doesn't phase the Night King. So John goes after him, and I thought that was a really cool scene. I'm like, all right, here we go, 1-on-1.
I just kind of want to talk this whole burning the Night King, like the fire. Is there anything extra from this, as far as like what? I mean, he's untouchable.
I just think it's like I mean, we don't have Manuel here, so he might have some insight on it. But as far as what I think is like, he's the winter. Like, you're not just gonna take him out with a little fire, even especially fire. So I feel like he's just too cool. Like, he's too cold, and it's not gonna do anything.
Arnold Schwarzenegger
Chill. In Batman, right? Chill. Dude, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. I guess it meant something more.
And it's also like that magical shit where, like, maybe the only way, like, even if Daenerys would have come back and like had Drogon bite him in the fucking ass or something and like bite his head off, it wouldn't work, because the only way you can kill him is through Dragon Glass or Valyrian Steel for whatever. Just that magical stuff, like.
Yeah, so and the producer said, like, we never said Dragonfire would kill him, but we didn't know that it would kill him, and we never said it would. So
Yeah.
take it like that. So John goes after him, and the Night King turns around and raises the dead. I thought that was a really cool scene, because like he's like only maybe 30 feet away from ending the war, and then he raises the dead, and John's surrounded.
It's another scene where there's so many, I don't know if there's so many moments, but moments of John like running towards something, and he's like, I have a chance right here. The youngest brother, Rickon at the Battle of the Bastards.
Rickon.
He's running towards him, right? Like to try to save him, and he's running towards the Night King, and he's just slowly raising the dead, and they're kind of just like raising up, and John's like, oh fuck, like, dude, work on your cardio or some shit, bro. Like,
he shouldn't have stopped. He just should have kept running at him nonstop.
I expected, yeah, like you said, I expected a one-on-one battle.
Right.
And I wanted a one-on-one battle because we never see the Night King fight. And, like, I want to see how much of a badass he was, because we've seen his generals fight before in Hardhome, and John killed one of them, you know, like
he just has his arsenal behind him and his magic. And
yeah, and that's all he does. Like, he doesn't
spear.
We've never seen him in combat, and we never do. And I think that they missed that opportunity to have him fight.
Even if he like beat the fuck out of John, that would have been awesome. Because like, you're like, all right, what else?
John stood his fucking ground.
Yeah. Even if he didn't kill John and just left him there on the ground and just like walked off, that would have been good. But I think people would have more problem with that than anything.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, we do get quick cuts of Lady Mormont's eyes opening, Ed's eyes opening.
The crypts
start to they start to break open, and the old Stark family starts to come back, and I'm like, Jesus Christ.
So it is Stark ancestry, correct?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
And it was crazy, because like while all these things are going on that we're talking about, they're still fighting in the Winterfell, like inside the castle itself, and like the courtyard and on the walls. You see Brienne and Jaime and Sam, everybody's still fighting. Grey Worm just fighting off hordes of the dead, and you see that kind of like the dead are kind of dwindling down, like there's less of them. And then the Night King does that, and the people that just got killed come back alive, and they have to do it all over again.
Yeah. Fuck, dude, the restlessness.
And you see Jamie's face, like, oh fuck, like he's just like, they're all tired, covered it, and I love the way they looked, just covered in blood,
exhaustion, and just strung out.
Yeah. And it did give that sense of like, fuck, hopelessness, like.
Yeah, I felt the same way, especially when the generals walked through, and I was like, fuck, man. But then I did think like. I thought at one point everybody who had a Valyrian steel sword was going to fight a general. And I was like, all right, if this is the way they go out, this is the way they go out. But I thought it was going to be like one-on-one against all the generals. But nope, they head into Winterfell, and they head towards Bran. We do see Daenerys saving Jon as he's being surrounded by the dead. She lands Drogon for some weird fucking reason, and Drogon gets overwhelmed. and knocks Daenerys off. And I thought that scene was incredible. It looks so good on my TV and on my iPad or whatever every time I watched it. And I love the effect of like all the dead on top of Drogon, and he flies off and he shakes it off. I'm like, oh man, the animator must have been fucking
just
furious.
like the infestation of the dead, and dude,
it was awesome visual.
Yeah, and I think she landed because she didn't expect it to be surrounded that quick. At least because she got surprised from the rear, where like she's looking in front of her, she's looking in front of her, and like she's talking to Jon, and Jon's like, Brands, and he's like, she's go get him, like go help him. And then that's when she realizes that people are behind her and they climb on Drogon.
She was like, can I be queen? He's like, not now. And she flies off. So yeah, she falls down, and right when you think Daenerys is going to get attacked, Jorah comes to her rescue and starts to fight off the dead that are surrounding them.
and this is where I was like, is Daenerys a fighter? And I mean, she's trying to hold her own.
She did okay, like towards the end.
They were talking about this scene where Jorah is defending Daenerys, and that Emilia Clarke kind of didn't want to be the damsel in distress. Like she wanted to help Jorah at that moment, but it was also whatever Jorah's actor's name, like that was also his moment to be like the savior, and so they kind of had to find a balance point of like Jorah defending Daenerys, like the person that he loves, and that he's
queen.
He's like faithful to and everything, but also have Daenerys not be just
I'm defenseless, or
because she is the mother of dragons. Like she is all these things that she talks about, and her picking up the sword and like fighting alongside with them I thought it was a good touch.
Yeah, it was. I picked that up too.
Jon walks through Winterfell and sees his friends being attacked. He looks over at Sam, and Sam's being overwhelmed, but he knows he can't stop, so he continues and leaves them on red. He has to get to Bran.
And you see the hesitation of him, like take a step towards Sam, and then like thinks about it, and like and just like walks off. So
he said Jon could have been like, "You cost me Gilly, not Gilly, but what's the chick's name? The redhead, Ygritte, and you got me killed, motherfucker." Deuces. And we also see Jon get cornered by Viserion. And cue the slow piano music, and you know shit's about to go down once they cue the music.
And then also within this piano music, this sad piano music, like how many times Jon evades the blue fire, dude? Like 3 times.
35 times.
He's just like every other chance he's like hiding beneath. I mean, he understands his castle and his area and stuff, but it's just like fuck, like
he just can't get away from it.
Yeah.
Like he's cornered.
And this is what I was telling you guys, that I loved the way this director does his battle sequences, or like the way he follows a character, like Jon. He did in the Battle of the Bastards also, where he's like finding his way through the crowd, and then like the horse comes in and takes out that guy, and then he goes and talks to another guy and he gets killed. So he's just moving like through the thing, and the camera just stays on Jon for the longest time. And he did the same thing in this episode where he's walking through Winterfell. He sees his friends. He looks over. It's his point of view of seeing Brienne and Jaime fighting, and then Grey Worm, and then Sam being on the floor, and then him going through the corridor and fighting his way through the corridor.
It collapsing on him.
Yeah.
Him getting back up.
Like it's just that type of camera work. I love it, just because it shows you like, yeah, we're gonna follow the main character through this fucking journey. And yeah, when he gets into the courtyard, and then Viserion's just breathing fire, it's like, oh shit, like how's he gonna get there on time? Like, you know, like.
And it also portrays like, I mean, as the standpoint of like a professional actors and like cameramen, I'm sure it's not one take. Like imagine how many times they have to like, this is one giant sequence. If we fuck up, we have to do it again.
Yeah.
So if there's like a wrong step, or it didn't come out right the way he wanted it, all right, start from the top again. So he's walking, I'm sure there's different takes, walking through this mess.
But it feels like one, besides the cuts to like other characters.
No, of
like,
course,
it
that's
feels
why.
like
It's
one.
like it's one complete take sequence, but I'm saying like the amount of times to get it perfectly how he wants it. You know what I mean? Like redoing these things, that shit's crazy.
So Sansa, during the whole piano music, pulls out a dragon glass dagger. And a lot of people online were saying that she was going to kill herself, but I thought she was going to like take a stand.
I for a second thought they were going to kiss. I don't know why.
Well, he kisses her hand.
Yeah, I thought they were going to like straight make out French geese, you know.
I think it was because of the conversation of them like saying like, oh, they're talking about their marriage before, and like,
What would you have done if like Tyrion just like he's like, oh fuck, here it comes. He gets the bag of wine and whips his dick out, and he's like, it's not gonna suck itself because that's how he wanted to die, dude.
I thought you were gonna say, what if he like stabbed Sansa? Like they agreed through eyes, like, all right, kill me. I don't want to live for this.
I put the bag of wine and then his dick, and I was like, is he gonna put his dick inside the bag of wine? What is he gonna do?
Oh no, he just pulls it out and just like,
Him saying like he wants to die with like at 80 with a belly, wine in his belly and a girl's cock around his mouth.
A girl's cock around his mouth.
a girl's mouth around his cock.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's 2,000. No, it's 15,000. Whatever the fuck. Over there.
Whenever the fuck the time it was.
That's awesome. All right, so getting back to this dreary ending.
Yeah,
Bran comes out of his warg and tells Theon he's a good man and thanks him. And you pretty much know like Theon's done like at this point.
Yeah.
And Theon like turns around, picks up a staff, and charges over to the Night King. Night King stops him short, stabs him in the gut, and the freaking stick that he stabbed him with goes straight through 2 layers of plate mail and his torso. Ridiculously powerful.
I thought Bran was giving Theon permission to leave. Like, I feel like Bran was like, "Hey, you're a good man," and I thought Theon was gonna be like, "All right, I'm gonna go now and leave you alone with him."
Yeah.
So I kind of had that feeling of Bran being like, "It's okay to leave," like, you know, not.
Imagine just like through the Night King and his army. Excuse me. Sorry. I need to go back to the castle.
Yeah. Because I thought he was starts running at the Night King. And I was like, okay, yeah, like he's gonna try to kill him. But in my head, just like the comedic like thing that I saw in my head was him like charging, but like away from the king. And just
Run, bitch. Or him playing dead like in Shaun of the Dead. That would be pretty cool.
His mom, great mom, you're doing great. She's just there like, I'm not doing anything. She's old as fuck.
She's all fever ridden. So the Night King approaches Bran. They stare at each other momentarily. A draft of wind brushes one of the White Walker's hair. Arya springs out from the back, and the Night King turns around, catches her by the throat, grabs her dagger hand, which means that both hands are being used. She drops the knife, or the dagger, catches it, and stabs the Night King in the chest. And I was like, fuck yeah, dude. I lost my shit during this part, and I was like, checkmate, motherfucker.
And he just shatters. And his whole army just fucking shatters.
Incredible.
Viserion crumbles. It's fucking awesome.
Yeah, Jon stands, like, I guess he just realizes, like, they're going to lose, so he stands face to face with Viserion, like, kill me, motherfucker.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
Another missed moment. I thought like maybe if they would have shown like if Jon was immune to fire like Daenerys is like as a Targaryen, like in this moment where they could have had Viserion like spit fire at him and
well, it's not every Targaryen.
And his hair turns blonde.
and nothing happens to him, like, you know.
It's not every Targaryen though, is it?
No.
It's specific ones in the family.
Yeah.
See, this was the point that I was going to make of like the Night King. Like, oh, a dragon burned him. Is he Targaryen?
No, I think it's just
You know what I mean?
magic thing.
It's just magic thing, but
Yeah.
that's why I'm saying like I'm sure it would have burned Jon. Like I don't think every single Targaryen is immune or not immune, but you know,
Yeah, but we could have
burn sensitive.
we could have seen like if he was.
If he
or not.
was, yeah.
And I'm just saying like that would have been a cool moment to be like people see that and be realize like why didn't you burn? Like, you know, what's going on?
Or he gets burned. And oh shit! I guess he's not immune.
Either he burns and dies or he doesn't get burned, and it'll be like a cool moment to be like, yeah, well, guess what? I'm Targaryen. Didn't want to tell you. Just wanted to wait till after.
Yeah.
I mean, the books, and they said in the show, like that, in the making, like when Daenerys first burns the first 2 times, they said she's not fireproof. She's just burn resistant. So that was that. But that would have been a really cool reveal. I mean, I would have enjoyed it. Jorah dies in Daenerys' arms, and then Drogon comes in for cuddles. That was a pretty sad moment.
Yeah, I like the moment where they just like kind of hovers over them, cuddles over them.
Yeah. So we cut to Melisandre walking away, and Davos is pretty determined to execute her, and he has his hand on his sword and follows her outside, which is weird because like she's facing north, and the attack came from the north, but like the battleground is like clear. I don't know. The reason I'm saying that is because like the sun was rising in the west, in the east, sets in the west. So and the sun's on this side when she's like walking straight out. So it has to be north.
I'm pretty sure she also goes through the main gate, right? Like
That's in front of where the entire battle started, right?
I believe
Yeah.
so.
Well, I
but-
mean, that's the because all the zombies were crumbling to dust and just blowing into the wind. So maybe they just
well, not
blew
all
away.
of them. Just the White Walkers just like crumble. The
oh,
other
not
ones
the
just fall
dead.
dead. No.
Oh, they're just dead, right? Oh, that
Yeah.
makes sense. Fuck.
yeah.
So she pulls off her necklace, goes out old and naked, and just
They'll get it. No.
she just falls in the snow. And yeah, I thought it was a great ending. And just the screen goes black, credits roll.
There's
And
too
that's
much.
our
Also,
episode.
I want to pick one more thing. There's too much of me trying to make connections of shit. Like, oh, the Night King is the Targaryen. That bullshit. When she drops her necklace or whatever, and it like shuts off. Before I saw that part, like, and she told Arya, Arya's like, you told me that I would shut eyes forever. I was like, oh shit, is she gonna be the next like, be able to wear something like that and just like age, not age as much or whatever. Like when she has it on, like her, like Melisandre. I was thinking of shit like that. And I'm like, that's not too much of a reach.
Yeah, and I was wondering like why she had to die or why she was dying, and I guess it makes sense if the Lord of Light was telling her like, "Hey, you're gonna find the prince that was promised," or like all this prophecy that she was talking about at the beginning. Like it was her destiny or her like mission to help defeat the Night King, and once she's done it, like she can rest now.
I mean, also her prophecies that she knew about didn't go past ending the long night.
Yeah,
So maybe that's what
and it was
bookended her life.
And it was, and I think you kind of saw that when in that season where she takes off the necklace for the first time and becomes old. That was after she lost all her like hope in the Lord of Light. So she kind of like was already giving up, and then when she finds out like Daenerys and Jon are gonna go fight the Night King, that's when she comes back and helps again. Like that's when she believes again.
Yeah. That's our episode.
So Arya, you happy about that? Her fucking being the one?
Okay, so I am. I like it, but I don't know if this does anything for the books because the books speak of the prince that was promised and the whole Duncan Egg prophecy and Aerys having the heir, which had to have been what's his name? The brother, John's dad. I'm drawing a blank. Rhaegon, yeah. And Lyanna, so it had to come from his lineage. And it has to be Jon or Daenerys. Like there was nothing to do with Arya. But then again, like because like all of Melisandre's purpose was to find the prince that was promised or the one who's going to end the long night, and that was the prophecy. And this is what like totally throws me off. And I'm like I don't care. I was happy that Arya did it because I fucking love Arya. She's my favorite character. But yeah, I don't know as far as like the end of the books goes.
Yeah, I felt like they could have done a lot more with the Night King. Like, it was good the way he died and stuff, but he never fought. Like, it was always at the right in the back of everybody's mind. Like, besides Cersei and stuff, and like he was supposed to be the big bad guy, and now it's I guess Cersei is the big bad guy. Like,
True.
and I had asked on our Instagram at Laugh and Death Podcast on Instagram, like what your thoughts were. Let us know. Our Maester Manuel said that he was okay with it because the books aren't going to be spoiled now because they totally disregarded the prince that was promised, like prophecy. So
Yeah.
I guess book readers have that thing to look forward to. I'm not going to read the book, so fuck that. And then Nensasar 12, he said it was a huge fuck you to the book readers. I gave it 4 out of 10, and that's because I'm being nice. So I'm guessing it was the same thing of the whole prophecies and stuff going on in the books that isn't going on in the show anymore. And it makes sense for them to change the show and the books because, I mean, I guess they still want people to read the books and not just copy it directly or do that ending. So,
Yeah, I saw a lot of people talking about the pupils of the Night King. Like, you actually saw like the black dots
black-
in his
yeah.
eyes. And Rick called it out. He's like, "Did you ever notice that?" I'm like, "Well, he always had the black dots." He's like, "No, his eyes were always just solid blue." I was like, "Yeah, maybe in the daylight or whatever. I don't know. Or maybe because he got burnt by the dragon fire. Who knows?"
Or maybe it's just the effects wise where they were like, this looks a little better. Like, let's clean it up. And
Yeah.
As far as episodes goes, it was really good.
Cool to watch.
I liked it.
I'm ready to
It was
watch
good.
the rest. Yeah.
I can't wait for the next thing because like, where do they go from here? They lost the majority of their army. How are they going to take on Cersei, and Euron, the fleet? Like,
I mean, there's still, 3 more episodes?
Yara's still at the Iron Islands.
yeah, but I don't think she has much of a fleet.
She probably has to have done something.
We'll see. Yeah, I'm excited. Hopefully, Rhaegal and Ghost are okay because we didn't see them fall. But
They are. They're in the next preview for the next episode.
Okay.
very cool.
All right, guys. Well, that wraps it up for this episode of A Song of Life and Death. It was over season 8, the series finale, episode 3, The Long Night, the battle at Winterfell. Let us know what you guys think about this review. And check us out on youtube.com/laughanddeath. Make sure to comment on what you thought about this episode and what you thought our perspective was. And we want to know what your perspective is. And check us out on Instagram at Laugh and Death Podcast. We try to engage with you guys and we ask questions so you guys can... we submit a type of like, ask a question so you can submit your question to us and maybe we can talk about it, shout you out on the podcast itself. But thank you guys. My name is Alex. I have Fern, David, and then we didn't have Manuel, but shout out Manuel. We always have you in our thoughts
Miss you, homie.
and our prayers. Thank you guys.
Chick's dick in his mouth. That was great.
Hey, you never know. Don't knock it till you try it.
Don't knock it till you try it.